How's everybody doing? You guys surviving out there? Everybody staying healthy and happy and anxiety free and it's been a weird couple of weeks, eh? I hope you guys are all well. Welcome to my Sunday reading adventures, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Today we'll be going through chapter 2. Before I begin, I just wanted to tell you that prior to self-isolation, I had an appointment to cut all of my hair off. And unfortunately that got canceled, and now I'm just going to have to grow it out. So I think that by the time this whole thing is over, it's probably going to be down to my waist, but it's looking really ridiculous. Anyways, you guys okay? Well, I guess we might as well just get started. Wanted to let you know that I Lysoled my Lysol bottle the other day. That's what it's come to. So, yeah. Anyways, Harry Potter, Chapter 2. And I got a lot of feedback from you guys. I didn't show the photos, and it's an illustrated book. And the illustrations are quite beautiful. So, hopefully this time I'll remember. We're on Chapter 2. It's the Vanishing Glass. Not much to see here, but I'll show you anyways. And let's begin. Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Nearly 10 years had passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen the fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time had passed. 10 years ago, you guys hear me okay, by the way? Yeah? Okay, good. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like a large pink beach ball wearing different colored bobble hats, but Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby, and now the photographs showed a large blonde boy riding his first bicycle, on a roundabout at the fair, playing a computer game with his father, being hugged and kissed by his mother. The room held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house, too. Yet Harry Potter was still there. Asleep at the moment, but not for long, his Aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice which made the first noise of the day. Up! Get up! Now! Harry woke up with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. Up! She screeched. Harry heard her walking towards the kitchen, and then the sound of the frying pan being put on the cooker. He rolled onto his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorbike in it. He had a funny feeling he'd had the same dream before. His aunt was back outside the door. Are you up yet? She demanded. Nearly, said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon. And don't you dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on Dudley's birthday. Harry groaned. What did you say? His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing. Dudley's birthday. How could he have forgotten? Harry slowly got out of bed and started looking for socks. He found a pair under his bed and, after pulling a spider off one of them, put them on. Harry was used to spiders because the cupboard under the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. When he dressed, he went down the hall into the kitchen. The table was almost hidden beneath all Dudley's birthday presents. It looked as though Dudley had got the new computer he wanted, not to mention the second television and the racing bike. Exactly why Dudley wanted a racing bike was a mystery to Harry, as Dudley was very fat and hated exercise. Unless, of course, it involved punching somebody. Dudley's favorite punch bag was Harry, but he couldn't often catch him. Harry didn't look it, but he was very fast. Perhaps it had something to do with living in a dark cupboard, but Harry had always been small and skinny for his age. He looked even smaller and skinnier than he really was, because all he had to wear were old clothes of Dudley's, and Dudley was about 4 times bigger than he was. Harry had a thin face, knobbly knees, black hair, and bright green eyes. He wore round glasses held together with a lot of sellotape because of all the times Dudley had punched him in the nose. The only thing Harry liked about his own appearance was a very thin scar on his forehead, which was shaped like a bolt of lightning. He had had it as long as he could remember, and the first question he could ever remember asking his Aunt Petunia was how he had got it. "In the car crash when your parents died," she said. "And don't ask questions." Don't ask questions. That was the first rule for a quiet life with the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen as Harry was turning over the bacon. "Come here, Harry," barked, by way of a morning greeting. About once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over the top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. Sounds like my mom. Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together, but it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way, all over the place. Oh, new page. Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair that laid smoothly on his thick, fat head. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Harry put the plates of egg and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. 36, he said, looking up at his mother and father. "That's 2 less than last year." What an asshole. "Darling, you haven't counted Auntie Marge's present. See, it's here under this big one from Mummy and Daddy." "All right, well, 37 then," said Dudley, going red in the face. Harry, who could see a huge Dudley tantrum coming on, began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible in case Dudley turned the table over. Aunt Petunia obviously scented danger too because she said quickly, "And we'll buy you another 2 presents while we're out today. How's that, Pumpkin? 2 more presents, is that all right?" Dudley thought for a moment. It looked like hard work. Finally, he said slowly, "So I'll have 39, sweetums," said Aunt Petunia. "Oh," Dudley sat down heavily and grabbed the nearest parcel. "All right, then." Uncle Vernon chuckled. "Little Tyke wants his money's worth, just like his father. Attaboy, Dudley." He ruffled Dudley's hair. At that moment, the telephone rang and Aunt Petunia went to answer it while Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike, a scene camera, a remote control airplane, 16 new computer games, and a video recorder. He was ripping the paper off a gold wristwatch when Aunt Petunia came back from the telephone, looking both angry and worried. "Bad news, Vernon," she said. "Mrs. Fig's broken her leg. She can't take him." She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day to adventure parks, hamburger bars, or the cinema. But every year, Harry was left behind with Mrs. Fig, a mad old lady who lived 2 streets away. Oh, page turn. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled of cabbage, and Mrs. Fig made him look at photographs of all the cats she'd ever owned. "Now what?" said Aunt Petunia, looking furiously at Harry as though he'd planned this. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry for Mrs. Fig had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole year before he had to look at Tibbles, Snowy, Mr. Paws, and Tufty again. "We could phone Marge," Uncle Vernon suggested. "Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates the boy." The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand them, like a slug. "What about, what's-her-name, your friend, Yvonne?" "On holiday," snapped Aunt Petunia. You could just leave me here, Harry put in hopefully. He'd be able to watch what he wanted on television for a change, and maybe even have a go on Dudley's computer. Aunt Petunia looked as though she'd just swallowed a lemon. "Come back and find the house in ruins," she snarled. "I won't blow up the house," said Harry, but they weren't listening. "I suppose we could take him to the zoo," said Aunt Petunia slowly, "and leave him in the car." "That car's new. He's not sitting in it alone." Dudley began to cry loudly. In fact, he wasn't really crying. It had been years since he'd really cried, but he knew that if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him anything he wanted. "Dinky Duddy Dums, don't cry. Mommy won't let him spoil your special day," she cried, flinging her arms around him. "I don't want him to come," Dudley yelled between huge pretend sobs. "He always spoils everything." He shot Harry a nasty grin through the gap in his mother's arms. Just then, the doorbell rang. "Oh, good Lord, they're here," said Aunt Petunia frantically, and a moment later, Dudley's best friend, Piers Polekiss, walked in with his mother. Piers was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. He was usually the one who held people's arms behind their backs while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry at once. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting in the back of the Dursleys' car with Piers and Dudley on the way to the zoo for the first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with him, but before they'd left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. "I'm warning you," he said, putting his large purple face right up close to Harry's. "I'm warning you, boy. Any funny business, anything at all, and you'll be in that cupboard from now until Christmas." "I'm not going to do anything," said Harry, honestly. But Uncle Vernon didn't believe him. No one ever did. The problem was, strange things often happened around Harry, and it was just no good telling the Dursleys he didn't make them happen. Once, Aunt Petunia, tired of Harry's coming back from the barber's, looking as though he hadn't been at all, had taken a pair of scissors and cut his hair so short he was almost bald, except for his fringe, which she left to hide that horrible scar. Dudley had laughed himself silly at Harry, who spent a sleepless night imagining school the next day, where he was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and sellotaped glasses. Next morning, however, he got up to find his hair exactly as it had been before Aunt Petunia had sheared it off. He had been given a week in his cupboard for this, even though he had tried to explain that he couldn't explain how it had grown back so quickly. Another time, Aunt Petunia had been trying to force him into a revolting old jumper of Dudley's, brown with orange baubles. The harder she tried to pull it over his head, the smaller it seemed to become, until finally it might have fitted a glove puppet, but certainly wouldn't fit Harry. Aunt Petunia had decided it must have shrunk in the wash, and to his great relief, Harry wasn't punished. On the other hand, he got into terrible trouble for being found on the roof of the school's kitchen. Dudley's gang had been chasing him as usual when, as much to Harry's surprise as anyone else's, there he was, sitting on the chimney. The Dursleys had received a very angry letter from Harry's headmistress telling them Harry had been climbing school buildings. But all he tried to do, as he shouted at Uncle Vernon through the locked door of his cupboard, was jump behind the big bins outside the kitchen doors. Harry supposed that the wind must have caught him in mid-jump. Enjoy. Where the hell am I? But today, nothing was going to go wrong. It was even worth being with Dudley and Piers to be spending the day somewhere that school wasn't. His cupboard or Mrs. Figg's cabbage-spelling living room. While he drove, Uncle Vernon complained to Aunt Petunia. He liked to complain about things. People at work, Harry, the council, Harry, the bank, and Harry were just a few of his favorite subjects. This morning it was motorbikes. Roaring along like maniacs, the young hoodlums, he said as motorbike overtook him. I had a dream about a motorbike, said Harry, remembering suddenly it was flying. Uncle Vernon nearly crashed into the car in front. He turned right around in his seat and yelled at Harry, his face like a gigantic beetroot with a mustache. "Motorbikes don't fly." Dudley and Piers sniggered. I know they don't, said Harry. It was only a dream. But he wished he hadn't said anything. If there was one thing that Dursleys hated even more than asking questions, it was his talking about anything acting in a way it shouldn't, no matter if it was in a dream or even a cartoon. They seemed to think he might get dangerous ideas. It was a very sunny Saturday, and the zoo was crowded with families. The Dursleys brought Dudley and Piers large chocolate ice creams at the entrance, and then, because the smiling lady in the van had asked Harry what he wanted before they could hurry him away, they bought him a cheap lemon ice lolly. It wasn't bad either, Harry thought, licking it as they watched a gorilla scratching his head and looking remarkably like Dudley, except that it wasn't blonde. Harry had the best morning he had in a long time. He was careful to walk a little way apart from the Dursleys so that Dudley and Piers, who were starting to get bored with the animals by lunchtime, wouldn't fall back on their favorite hobby of hitting him. They ate in the zoo restaurant, and when Dudley had a tantrum because his knickerbocker glory wasn't big enough, Uncle Vernon bought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. Harry felt afterwards that he should have known it was all too good to last. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in here, with lit windows all along the walls. Behind the glass, all sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Piers wanted to see huge, poisonous cobras and a thick, man-crushing python. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could have wrapped its body twice around Uncle Vernon's car and crushed it into a dustbin, but at the moment, it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was fast asleep. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass, staring at the glistening brown coils. "Make it move," he whined at his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. "Do it again," Dudley ordered. Uncle Vernon rapped the glass smartly with his knuckles, but the snake just snoozed on. "This is boring," Dudley moaned. He shuffled away. Harry moved in front of the tank and looked intently at the snake. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom itself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass, trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia hammering on the door to wake you up. At least he got to visit the rest of the house. Ooh. Words on this page. I had more beverages. That would be funny. The snake suddenly opened its beady eyes. Slowly, very slowly, it raised its head until its eyes were on a level with Harry's. It winked. Harry stared. Then he looked quickly around to see if anyone was watching. They weren't. He looked back at the snake and winked too. The snake jerked its head towards Uncle Vernon and Dudley, then raised its eyes to the ceiling. It gave Harry a look that said quite plainly, "I get that all the time." "I know," Harry murmured through the glass, though he wasn't sure the snake could hear him. It must be really annoying. The snake nodded vigorously. "Where do you come from anyway?" Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at a little sign next to the glass. Harry peered at it. Boa constrictor, Brazil. "Was it nice there?" The boa constrictor jabbed its tail at the sign again, and Harry read on. "This specimen was bred in the zoo." "Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil." As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. "Dudley! Mr. Dursley! Come and look at the snake! You won't believe what it's doing!" Dudley came waddling towards them as fast as he could. "Out of the way, you!" he said, punching Harry in the ribs. Caught by surprise, Harry fell hard on the concrete floor. What came next happened so fast, no one saw how it happened. 1 second, Piers and Dudley were leaning right up close to the glass. The next, they had leapt back with howls of horror. Harry sat up and gasped. The glass front of the boa constrictor's tank had vanished. The great snake was uncoiling itself rapidly, slithering out onto the floor. People throughout the reptile house screamed and started running for the exits. As the snake slid swiftly past him, Harry could have sworn a low, hissing voice said, "Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo." The keeper of the reptile house was in shock, but the glass, he kept saying, "Where did the glass go?" The zoo director himself made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong, sweet tea while he apologized over and over again. Piers and Dudley could only gibber. As far as Harry had seen, the snake hadn't done anything except snap playfully at their heels as it passed, but by the time they were all back in Uncle Vernon's car, Dudley was telling them how it had nearly bitten off his leg, while Piers was swearing that it had tried to squeeze him to death. But worst of all, for Harry at least, was Piers calming down enough to say, "Harry was talking to it. Weren't you, Harry?" Uncle Vernon waited until Piers was safely out of the house before starting on Harry. He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, "Go! Cupboard! Stay! No meals!" before he collapsed into a chair and Aunt Petunia had to run to get him a large brandy. Harry lay in his dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was, and he couldn't be sure the Dursleys were asleep yet. Until they were, he couldn't risk sneaking to the kitchen for some food. He'd lived with the Dursleys almost 10 years. 10 miserable years. As long as he could remember, ever since he'd been a baby and his parents had died in that car crash. He couldn't remember being in the car when his parents had died. Sometimes he strained his memory during long hours in his cupboard. He came up with a strange vision. A blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead. This, he supposed, was the crash, though he couldn't imagine where all the green light came from. He couldn't remember his parents at all. His aunt and uncle never spoke about them, and of course he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family. Yet sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, that strangers in the street seemed to know him. Very strange strangers they were, too. A tiny man in a violet top hat had bowed to him once while out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley. After asking Harry furiously if he knew the man, Aunt Petunia had rushed them out of the shop without buying anything. A wild-looking old woman dressed in all green had waved merrily at him once on a bus. A bald man in a very long purple coat had actually shaken his hand in the street the other day and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people was the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get a closer look. At school, Harry had no one. Everybody knew that Dudley's gang hated that odd Harry Potter in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses, and nobody liked to disagree with Dudley's gang. Oh, that's it. Chapter 2 is a short one. I am not going to dig into Chapter 3 today, unfortunately. But we'll get back to that next week. Let me just put my handy ribbon bookmark in here. So, what's going on? Welcome to Come Read a Story in My Kindergarten Class. I don't know about that. Oh, shit. Thanks. You're very welcome. I enjoy doing this. Anybody want to go live for a second? I got a few minutes here. Are there any video requests? How are you doing? I'm doing really good. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. It's fun. I actually I enjoy it. Although it's hard to read for half an hour. It's almost like singing a set. It's like tough on the throat. Excuse me. Okay, hang on. Let me see if anybody's live here or wants to go live here. Where is that button? Why won't you highlight? Go live with these people. Who wants to go live? Waiting for Princess Dumpweed. Ah, there's hair in my teeth. Blah. Hey!
Oh.
How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Just finished up Harry Potter. Did you watch it at all or no?
I did. I watched it while I'm playing my video game, and it's very soothing.
Oh, nice. What are you playing?
Fire Emblem on the Switch.
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
How's your self-isolation going?
It's going. Yeah, I had to quit my job because I'm really high risk, and I was like, it's not worth it to go to work.
Fuck it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just chilling at home with the cats, really.
Nice.
Yeah. How's it going for you?
Good. Same thing here. Obviously, I didn't quit my job, but there's not like there's going to be any concerts anytime soon. So yeah, just hanging out. I'm great. The fridge is stocked and the weather's okay, and just been going for a lot of walks.
Yeah, I live in an apartment complex, so there's like no room for me to walk separated from people.
Totally.
So I'm just enjoying the balcony with my cats. We had to cat proof it like a year ago, but
yeah,
We're just chilling.
When you go like down, do you have is there an elevator in your apartment or?
No, it's all connected like outside. Like when I go outside of my apartment, I'm outside.
Okay, sweet. I was gonna say because I used to live in an apartment before, and if this was now, I would be like with my foot touching the elevator button.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Just like elbows. You don't want to touch anything.
It's funny, like you don't really know. Like I suppose I'm like maybe a bit of a germaphobe, but not like I'll touch a door handle and stuff. But you just don't know how you know how like. Like, is it gonna get me? I don't know. If I touch this, like, if I buy some bananas, am I gonna get COVID? Like, I don't really know. So, just trying to be as responsible as possible, I suppose.
Yeah, I realized I'm kind of a germaphobe because I had already been stocked up on face masks and soap and like sanitizer wipes before the stores ran out. And
oh, amazing!
Like, oh, I don't need any because I am apparently a germaphobe and I hoard them.
Well, that's lucky. I have like one bottle of Lysol wipes that is I don't know, just keeps making its way around the house and take it in the car to the grocery store. But I'm like, it's slowly running out. I'm like, where the hell am I gonna get these things? So
yeah, and eventually you like add water to it, and you're just like trying to keep it going. I have so many of these things that I've actually been like delivering them to family and friends. I'm like, you guys need soap? I got soap. If you need Lysol wipes, I got Lysol wipes, face masks, and I can sew. So I'm like, if you want me to make you one, let me know. Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
I'm like trying to keep everybody safe because I would like to go back to work and I would like to resume my life. So we can all stay inside and be healthy.
Same. Yeah, I totally agree. That's awesome. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's sweet chatting with you. I'm gonna see if anybody else wants to go move on here. But yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Stay safe out there. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, sorry. Hey, what's your name? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Oh, it's Ellie.
Ellie, Matt. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you again.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye. Should we do one more? That was nice. You're my second favorite member of Marianas Trench. Fuck that. You can get right off my feet. Who wants to go live with me? You better be entertaining. Who's this? The old wand never ending.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, what's your name?
My name's Megan.
Hey Megan, I'm Matt.
I know, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Did you follow along for Harry Potter Chapter 2 today?
No, but I watched the one last week.
That's okay, I don't blame you.
Well, I would, but I'm still working, so.
What do you, where are you working right now?
I do private in-home care, so it's health care, but in people's homes.
Cool. Good for you. That's wonderful. Thank you for taking care of people.
Thank you. Thank you for making music.
Yeah, no problem. Not doing a lot of that right now. Just kind of sitting around, enjoying the fire, reading Harry Potter.
Yeah, the Potterheads, including myself, are very okay with that.
You know, it's funny. I've actually never read the books. I've seen all the movies multiple times, but never read through the story. And we got this like Harry Potter animated version, or sorry, illustrated version, and I thought it was funny to just read it online. But now people are actually following along, so it looks like I'm gonna have to keep doing this consistently.
Now you have to do it.
Yeah. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in Michigan.
In Michigan, cool. What part of Michigan?
Southwest.
Southwest, awesome.
In like a cluster of small towns.
Cool.
So my roommate, I have to tell you how I found out about you guys.
Okay, let's hear it.
So when I went to college, my roommate, Sarah, was obsessed with you guys. And she has very good taste in music. So she, of course, got me obsessed with you guys. And then when I came home, I got my best friend from home obsessed with you guys. And then me and my best friend from home saw you guys at the House of Blues in Chicago. In Chicago?
Oh, sweet. You know, I gotta say, that might be my favorite place on earth to play. I like that venue a lot.
Why do you like it so much?
It's just, I mean, House of Blues, I think it like came from Chicago, didn't it? Maybe, but it's just like, there's so much history in that venue, all kinds of incredible artists have played there over the years, and to like step on the stage where you know all those people have been before you is so cool. And we always have really good shows in Chicago for whatever reason. The crowd is very receptive there, and it's wild. Like I always when we tour the United States, that particular venue always sticks out to me. I always remember it. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and thank you for getting all your friends like into the music and stuff like that too. That's amazing.
No problem. Good music needs to be heard. So.
Thanks so much. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna just maybe jump off and say hi to a few other people here. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Stay safe out there. It's really nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, and then probably wrap it up for today. If that's okay with you guys. Who wants to live stream with Matt? That's me. Who's on the list of live streamable individuals? These names are hilarious. Who wants to live stream? You scroll through a million names. How about this person? Who's this? Leap and right here.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Jillian, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, really good.
Good. I'm a little bit greasy right now, you know, living the isolation life.
Totally, I'm incredibly greasy.
I listened to Harry Potter. It was a great distraction
thanks.
From my thesis. I'm currently working on my honors thesis right now.
Are you serious?
Yes, typing it up and doing sciencey stuff.
How many words?
Words right
Yeah.
now? Oh my goodness. Can you see that in Google Drive? I don't know.
Yeah, if you Google Drive, you just go to Tools, and there's a word count option.
Tools, word count. Words about 10,000 right now.
Ugh!
Yeah. So it's not done yet.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah, it is. It
Oh,
is.
boy.
But I'll be excited to get it done. It's done on Thursday, so it's nice being stuck at home. It's kind of
Yeah.
the only thing I can work on.
How much more schooling do you have after that?
This, I'll be done my undergrad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully med school next year. I've applied, I've interviewed, and
Where do you want to go?
BC would be my first choice. I got to interview there back in February, so that would be my top choice. But
At UBC or where?
At UBC, yeah. So I got to go there and visit the campus, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Where do you live again? Edmonton?
I was Edmonton. I'm in Saskatoon right now.
Oh, you're in Saskatoon. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome. Any like, do you have a backup choice for med school anywhere else?
I interviewed 3 places. So I interviewed here and in Edmonton and in Saskatoon. So I would be happy if I got into any of those places.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. My best friend went to Kingston, or like Queens Med, I guess. And he lives in Ontario and is a doctor out there now, and it's awesome. It's a long haul, but it's a great and rewarding career, especially right now. Yeah,
definitely.
Do you guys do the 7:00 cheer outside for all the healthcare professionals right now? Does your city do that?
I heard about someone doing it. I heard that there was like police and firefighters doing some sort of parade thing around by the hospital. I heard about that, but
that's cool. Yeah, we in Vancouver right now, for whatever reason, it's caught on that like at 7 p.m. every night, everybody gets outside and like bangs pots together, and the whole city like goes crazy. And I guess it's like a salute to all the healthcare people doing their best right now, because that'd be sketchy being in that industry.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm like my fiance and I live in a condo, and I can see out the windows. Just they've got all these signs that's like "Stay safe, thank you, healthcare professionals," and I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, those people are doing a hell of a job right now.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Oh man. Well, everything else good? You guys okay? Like.
Yeah, we're doing good. I mean, we're stuck at home with the cats. We've got lots of coffee. We're stocked up, so I mean, I can't complain.
Good.
I'm just doing my part to stay home.
Good. Yeah, that's what we all gotta do.
Exactly.
Well, it's really, really nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, I just like honestly just picked it at random. That's hilarious. So
that is really funny. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you take care of yourself, and thanks for following along. I'll see See you next week.
Okay, bye.
Okay, ciao. All right. Well, guys, I think we got 4:35. Yeah, I probably got to go. Thank you very much for your time today. That was a lot of fun. Next week, we'll do chapter 3 because there's nothing else to do. Do you think we'll actually make it through the whole book? That would be kind of awesome, but also horrible because we would be sitting here for weeks. Oh my God. I'm going to go crazy. Well, take care of yourself, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. Next week, I'll have a different floral shirt on. And that's all. Okay, signing off. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, okay? See ya. Bye.